What is up, everybody? It's been a while since I made a video, but I want to make a new video. Have a new iPhone 6s. My old iTouch broke, and we switched phone carriers, and I had basically like a flip phone. All right, I've never really had smartphones, but it's besides the point. That's why I've been making videos. But I'm going to make a tutorial on how to make a flavor saver, basically a foil coil for the top of, honestly, whatever bowl. This is the same size as about a large Egyptian or any other kind of funnel or vortex bowl. This is a pretty big bowl. All right, this is by far one of the biggest diameter bowls that I have. So this foil technique works out perfectly. All right, I've already made 2 of them. This was my first coil. And it kind of just sits on there like so. Alright. May not be the prettiest. And this one kind of got jacked up. I was fucking with it. And people unraveled it and stuff, and it didn't really look too good, but I think that's about the size that I had it. And basically, you just want the coil to go around the entire bowl, essentially. Alright, this is the overall kind of feeling that we're going for it. Alright. Obviously there's no tobacco in here, just using this as a prop to demonstrate with. And this was another coil that I made. This will give you kind of a sense of what we're going for. Basically a coil where the tail meets, just you kind of connect it to the actual coil. So you kind of create a circle-ish. Alright. This one is a little bit better. But it depends on how you wrap your coil. You might have a big gap like I do on that one side, and you're going to have to bend this part. And you don't really need to worry about the middle too much because your coals aren't going to be there. But what is a flavor saver? I might have said it says it all in the name. It is something that's going to preserve your tobacco a little bit. Elevates the coals about this big, this much. How high is this with ruler? It's about 1/4 of an inch, a little bit smaller than 1/4 of an inch. And how I get my coils so long, alright, I'm going to undo this one. Oh my gosh. So I think this is longer than 12 inches. I think this is like, that's 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17-inch long piece of foil. Alright, how do I get it so long? I use 1 piece of foil. This is the jumbo size heavy duty Reynolds wrap. Just the regular jumbo size. It's the long size. Alright, it is heavy duty, so I'm going to aim the camera a little bit lower so you can kind of see what's going on, but it's very simple. We're going to make one fold, another fold, another fold, and then get it down to something that's generally like this thick. Alright, that thick. Alright. But yes, flavor saver. I've used them in the past. So kind of like them, kind of don't, but they're good to have. They're good to experiment with. So we're gonna make our first cover, right? Our first fold, not cover. And you want to make this as neat as possible. As you can see, I got this tear, some unevenness, but that's okay because we're going to be putting either our coals on this edge, the flattest edge, or whatever side becomes the flattest. Alright, so it's don't really matter too much. And if you guys were wondering how long this piece was, I'm going to guesstimate and say 7 inches. It's a reading at about 3 3/4, but I would just say 7 inches. How I gauge this, whatever size, however, let me just see, however thick you usually do your foil for your bowl, and this is about this thickness that I do, how long it is, that's what I kind of just pull for the coil portion, alright? Let me just put this back on there, just totally ruined it, but whatever. That's good enough, right? Okay, so we made our first type of fold. Now we're gonna go for the second fold, and you want this to be tight, but you don't want to flex one individual sheet. So when you're folding, you don't want to kind of move your fingers upward and kind of pull this lower sheet. You don't want to move the fold over and kind of pull this one with it. You kind of want it to be stationary as you fold, because what likes to happen is you get a lot of unevenness, and if you don't have a ruler, you're gonna hate yourself. But I'll get into why we might want a ruler. That's pretty decent. Yeah, we got a lot of access, but this is what I'm talking about, this little piece right here. We're gonna have to rip that off. If you don't have a ruler, it's kind of shitty. You could use a knife or something like that. That's what we're gonna end up doing, is cutting off these little edge pieces here and here. Here and here. We're gonna cut those off. So that's our second fold. Now we're gonna go into the third fold, and this fold's always a little bit tricky, alright? I like to first bend my entire piece, then meet the pieces to the edge like so. So it kind of creates that little edge, and you want the edge to run along the foil. All right, you don't want to meet the edge to these little flelly pieces right here. These little things, you want it to be right on the edge. See how this edge is nice and flat? That's what you want to meet to. We're just going to bend this side in, meet those edges. You can be a little bit off. You could be like an eighth off or something like that. Like, this isn't completely on that other edge as I bent it over. Okay, and this coil is actually a little bit too big, but that's okay. So you see how the edge to edge is a little bit off, and then you have this little flelly piece. All right, that little edge to edge is what I'm talking about. And I probably should have made my actual pull a little bit shorter, because this next fold is going to be a little bit too big, but it's okay. We might get away with it. We might get away with not using a ruler. But I just bend over one side like that, and then I just kind of continue the line. And I kind of just bend everything over at once. That's how I kind of do it. And again, edge to edge. Alright, get all that slack out of there. Alright, I had it kind of a little... Alright, there we go. So as you can see, this has some already kind of bend going to it, going like through it. It's kind of lopsided a little bit, but I'm just gonna have to deal with it. Over here you see where the original fold is, and this little piece right here, and this little piece right here. I'm just gonna go ahead and cut those off. All right, get a ruler, get a knife, and yeah, I don't think I actually. So I'm just fast forwarding this part because it does take a little time, but I'm just using my knife against the nice edge of the foil that I folded over to basically just eliminate all the little flaily pieces like I was talking about, and then I just go back and straighten them up with my hands once all the little flaily pieces are off, so you can see me cutting. So we're just cutting those little fraily pieces off. You can kind of see how some of it kind of got bent right there, but that's fine. And we definitely got to do it to this side. I'm just going to use the ruler on this one, so that way I can just get a nice and even cut. So again, I'm cutting off more of those little edges and whatnot, but I do actually use the ruler on this one because there was actually a lot of flaily pieces like I was talking about. I do end up cutting into the nice edge on the other side when I flip it over right now, and it does kind of damage one of the layers, but it's fine. It'll still do its job, and I'll show you here in a little bit after I'm done cutting what happened. That's fine. Oh, this piece totally got ripped. Whatever. It's all good. All right, so now we have kind of a uniform coil except for that piece, but that's fine. I'll just rip this off. There we go. So not that much foil has been wasted. All right, so let's just dust this shit off. So this coil is still a little bit too thick. I'm gonna try to go for another fold, but this is just the process. You already see one of the coils here. Fucking notification. This is kind of the end product, all right? But I'm trying to go for another fold. This is again where the ruler is gonna come in handy. I like to just try to keep it in the middle. Just oh shit, I just lift that one side up, but you have to make sure that the foil you're trying to lift up doesn't move the roller, alright? So basically now I'm just using the ruler that was placed in the middle of this current fold to bend that fold over. Because this is heavy duty, it is a little bit thicker, and bending it over by hand would be very, very hard. You don't really have that crisp edge. And I'm just bending the rest of the foil over. Alright, so here it is. This is about the same, I believe. I think it's a little bit smaller. Yeah, it's the same. 1/4 inch thick. Alright. And now we begin the actual coil part. Now there's plenty of ways to do this. I end up just wrapping it around my finger. So now what I'm trying to do here is I'm going to wrap the first beginning part around my finger. And what this is going to do is when I wrap the remaining amount of the coil around my finger, as you see, it's going to keep tension and it's going to keep the coil from unraveling. This we wrap around my finger. I don't overlap the coil any more than that first time, and I make it tight because I don't want like actual angles. I want this to be pretty circular. Alright. This is how I do it, alright? This is one way, I guess. I don't know. Alright. And I am cutting my circulation off right now. That is how tight I have it. Okay, so I have my coil, and I'm going to slowly undo this all. So I'm gonna kind of undo the coil so we have this shape going on. And what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hold the end of the coil. I'm gonna spread this open and kind of unravel it and kind of make the inside. I'm gonna hold this coil, then undo it a little bit, and then make that shape. Alright. I'm gonna undo this coil. Kind of just undo the coils as I go around. Alright. So I kind of have this fucked up shape going on here. Now what I'm going to do is plant it firm on the ground like this. Kind of make these coils a little bit circular in shape. Kind of undo them, mess with them. It's a little bit tighter of a coil, which is nice. I'm going to kind of undo the coil in the middle because we don't really need to worry about it too much. Yeah, that actually looks really good. And then meet these coils like so. So this is the end product that I have. really good, except for this piece. Then you can kind of just put some pressure on it. And then you just put this on your bowl. Alright. Pick it up from the edge. Plop it on like so. This is obviously a little too small, but idea. So it's elevated a decent amount. And I could probably even undo this just a little bit more. So here I'm just kind of unraveling the coil to make the adjustments to how big my bowl is. This coil is a little bit too tight for me. Something like this. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Not as uniform, but you get the idea. Anyways guys, keep on smoking hookah. Have a wonderful day.